Hi, my name is Mark Sarazano. I'm from howtotunepianos.com and the International Piano Technician School, and I have something I want to show you. Based on the success of my interval cards for piano tuners, where I show you the coincident partials, check notes, and for different intervals, I decided to do a project which I've been wanting to do for a while, and that is a set of cards that lays out all of the notes that you need to tune, in what order, and how to tune them for, let's see, I think it's 3 or 4 or 5 different temperament sequences that are very commonly spoken about. So we have here, here we go. We have the traditional perfect fourth, perfect fifth temperament. That was, it's a common temperament that was first written about in the William Braid White book. Then we have a perfect fourth, perfect fifth temperament, which uses what's called the white anchor. Then one of my first temperament sequences that I published. Then we have the Potter F3A4 temperament and the Diefenbauer sequence. These are both in the Arthur Riblett's book, Piano Tuning, Repair and Rebuilding for the Hobbyist, Student, and Piano Technician. We have the Bill Bremer Equal Beating Victorian temperament and the Baldessin Sanderson temperament and the Go Ape sequence that I teach in the International Piano Technician School. So I think what I'd like to do is show you how we go through and tune perfect fourths, perfect fifths using the white anchor. This is on page 7, 8, and 9. So we go to page 7 and just follow the instructions. Tune A4 from a fork or ETD or sound source. All of them start the same way. Some people like the fork, some people like an ETD. I like the ETD because it's not susceptible to temperature. It's 11 cents sharp. There we go, 0 cents. And then the next step says tune A3 from A4 as a pure 4-2, F3A3 equals F3A4. The check note, F3, needs to be flat from pure. And not too fast. The interval cards would tell you that that's the coincident partial right there. So that's where we're listening. Okay. Take that. Next step, tune F3 so that F3A3 is about 7 beats per second, as fast as you can tap. That's a lot slower than I can tap. That's about as fast as I can tap. Then tune D4 from A3 as a wide fourth. FA equals F, or is slower than FD. So we're tuning D here. That might be narrow. The top one is a little slower. The fourth is supposed to be about 1 beat per second. Some of the other techniques mention that. I guess that's okay. Then we go to tune G3 from D4 as a narrow fifth, using B flat 2 as the check note. Again, it has to be flat of pure, not too fast, not too slow. This is definitely narrow because the top is slower, but it's too narrow. The interval cards would tell you that that's the coincident partial. All right, so this is a narrow fifth because the top is slower. It's kind of beating a little bit too fast. it's kind of beating a little bit too fast. I think it's still beating too. It's supposed to be about one every, you know. That's about 1 a second. That's too much. Less than 1 beat per second for sure. And the interval cards tell you that's the beat. Okay, so that's narrow. And then the next thing to do is tune C4 from G3 as a wide fourth with D sharp 3 as the check note. C4 from G3 with D sharp 3 as the check note. Yeah, the top is faster, as it says in the card. And that's, I guess that's okay. It sounds like it might be a little pure. But then the next thing, this is the white anchor now. F, G, A, C, D, that's been tuned. It's called the white anchor. And at this point, we check the size of F3, C4, which should be slightly narrow. If not, retune D, G, and C. It sounds like it's pure. The same speed. Yeah, it's not beating. So that means the C should go up. Remember what I said about the fourth? I thought it was the same speed. So that makes it pure? Yeah, so we would fix this. No, we'd have to bring the C down to make it narrow. That would make this narrow, so this has to come down. Wide and narrow. Okay, so this kind of gives a nice locked-in approach to put together the FA, which we guessed at 7 beats per second. Is that the right speed? The white anchor doesn't really help you with that, but it helps you kind of fit those together so that this way. So the fourth and fifths in the white anchor none of them are standing out. Okay, so now that the white anchor's done, we can just finish the whole thing like the fourth and fifth sequence that was before this one. Tune B flat from F using C sharp. The next thing is to check all of the, and this is the refining procedure for all of the sequences in the set, except for the Go Ape sequence, which has its own simpler refining procedure. But for this one, basically you'd play all your fifths and fourths. That one stands out for me here. So now we can assume it's too narrow, because what I teach is that when a fifth is ugly, it's probably because it's too narrow. Because it's supposed to be a little narrow, and if we're a little bit off, it's going to be pure or too narrow. If it's a lot off, it'll be wide and ugly because it's wide. But we can always check with using the interval cards or just knowing that the check note is B flat. It's too narrow. refinement procedure discussed in the back says now we have a crime and two suspects, G or D. So we need to go and ask some witnesses. So G we think is too high. It's one of the possibilities. So if it's too high, the major third would slow down. No, there's no witnesses for that. Well, if it's too high, then maybe the fourth would be pure? No, the fourth is not pure. The tests say it's wide. No evidence that G is guilty. Now we'll go after the D, which we think might be flat. Well, if it's flat, then the B flat D will slow down. It does. That's a witness that says the D is guilty. Another thing that would cause the D, that would show that D is flat, is if AD is pure. Or narrow. It sounds a little narrow. We could also check that the sixth is too slow. A little harder to hear because it's supposed to be the slowest sixth. Yeah, it's a pretty big jump there. You could check other things, but we don't need to. You could check the minor thirds, but there's no need to because we have enough witnesses that say that D is flat. Oh, another good test is the fourth, fifth test in one direction. So from D down, we can play the fourth and the fifth. The fourth is supposed to be noisy. The fifth is supposed to be rolling or close to pure. This is opposite. The fourth is close to pure. The fifth is noisy, so that's another reason to raise the D. And there you go. We got rid of the noisy fifth. You can also check the thirds, but progressive thirds are not musical. Fourths and fifths that don't sound ugly, that's musical. So this third slows down a bit. So let's go find out if there's a fourth or a fifth that could be improved because of this. So the top note might be low, which would cause that to sound ugly. I don't really... It might be beating 1 beat per second. Well, what about the C? If the C was too high, then this fourth would be ugly. And it's not. So if you wanted to... Yeah, I don't really see much evidence in fixing that third that slows down. So that brings up a good point that I teach in the course, is that our job is to make musical intervals. And in my opinion, and that's all it is, it's just an opinion at this point, the fourths and fifths are fine. They sound musical to my ear. Even though we've got some thirds here that might not be progressive, I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it because my job was to make musical fourths and fifths, and I think I've done it, so we'll move on. So I hope that you found that interesting. If you're interested in oral piano tuning, this thing is amazing. I wish I had this when I started out. It's got all of these temperament sequences and laid out in a very easy to understand sequence. You've got the directions written out for you, but you also have the keyboard with each of the notes shown, which notes that you're tuning, which notes you're tuning it from, where there's a check note or a coincident partial. If you'd like to purchase one of these card sets, then look for a link somewhere on this page. Click the link, it'll bring you to my store, and you can purchase the cards there, and I've got a bunch of them made already, and I can send them out right away. Thanks for watching.